Okay. Well, we used to build PCs with CPUs like this. And today we're building a PC with a CPU like this. Holy cow, can you imagine? This is an i5 right here. And we used to build small vMix systems, 4-camera systems for churches and other folks using the i5. And it was a great little chip, but now when we want to do 24 cameras, HD, 60, or 6 4K cameras at 60, this is the ticket. So we'll come back in just a few minutes with the rest of the show, but enjoy the pre-show for right now. All right, let's see. What have we forgotten? We've got to turn off the lights. We better get that. Hold on. Because if I don't get it now, I won't remember it later. All right. Cooking with gas, as they say. And yeah, boy, now it's dark. Now it's dark. What did we forget? We forgot this. This is what we wanted right there. Yeah. So can we just swivel that light around now? Yeah, look at that. And then there was light. Doggone. Doggone. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. Let's do that. Gunner is here. Welcome, sir. Glad you're here. Glad to have you, as they say. Glad to have you. Rich is here. Can I get that? Hang on a second, Rich. Let's see if we can get this. Facebook. Oh, no, it's a file on my computer now because I downloaded it. 1 second here, folks. This is kind of funny. I get this thing from Rich. He annoys me like twice a year. So let's drag this file into my production. There we go. And we'll turn it on and we'll play it. I hope it's loud enough. Ms. Tom Sinclair, I just want to thank Rich and showing how AI is changing the world. I don't think that was loud enough. Let's bring up the gain a little bit. Let's see if we can hear it. Try again. Ms. Tom Sinclair, I just want to thank Rich and showing how AI is changing the world. Thank you, Rich. Thank you. That was great. So you just never know what you're going to see when you open up Facebook or email or whatever. Welcome, Mr. C. Good to see you. Glad to have you. Going to be an interesting show today. Yes. We're going to, I'd say we're going to finish up, but we're really not going to finish up. We're going to start for the third time our vMix Obtanium reference system build. And I need to get an oil for this squeaky chair. The reference system are things that vMix has established to try to keep people from using, equipment that doesn't have the right combination of components, typically underpowered. And so they developed these set of specifications, which they call their reference systems, which are systems that they have actually, they specify what the brand is and what the model number is of the product, and they have tested that exact setup. And so we will see. Will the Frankenstein PC, actually it's not a Frankenstein, Bill, it really is. It's a system that Heath and Tim, and I'm sure Martin, had a hand in developing. I corresponded with Heath back and forth a couple of times after the first unsuccessful build of this show when I realized these parts don't fit together. Heath said it really took them some time to get it together, to make everything work the way it wants to. So yeah. So Vegas video streaming, he needs one in his new studio. Well, is that Nick? Do I recognize that picture? Yeah, we're building one. Actually, we're building two, and we're quoting 3 others. So this may be quite a niche product. So we will see. Yeah, I thought that looked like that dew. Welcome, Nick Nichols. from Las Vegas, formerly of Livestream Las Vegas. Yep. Good to see you. Glad to have you. Nick is up to all sorts of stuff. Nick, we probably ought to have you on the show and talk about some of the stuff you're up to. Sounds pretty cool. And there might be things that people would need. You never know. You never know. So the Obtanium, I'm getting to be a bit of an Obtanium aficionado, despite this being the first build. The Obtanium is pretty cool, but it's a whole different way. It's a quantum leap for vMix to go from gaming PCs to servers, because the crux, I think the heart of the PC is the CPU. Some people would argue with me and say it's the video card or the motherboard, but I really do think it's the CPU. And in this case, we're going from CPUs that that work fine when you're asking them to do reasonable things like 3 or 4 cameras or 1 camera HD, 4K, or something like that. But in this case, this is a system that's designed to do 24 cameras HD or 6 cameras 4K at 60 frames a second. So that's pretty heavy lifting right there. Oh, and record it and do the replay for it. So vMix had to go outside of their normal gaming system. Now, there was a system that they used to spec and that we used to build that was the Obsidian system. Obsidian is I think it's like black lava rock, really hard and strong. And this was a 16 core, I think a 16 core i9 based on the X299 platform, which is ancient in computer years, yeah, and is difficult to find. I mean, they still do what they used to do. You can still do 16 cameras with them, but if you can find the gear, find the components, that's the trick. And so I remember, kind of nudging them a while back saying, hey, the X299's getting a little long in the tooth, hard to find gear for it. And vMix was like, well, we don't know what we don't really have anything else. They haven't put anything out yet. And then somebody, not me, must have given them the idea to go to a server CPU. And so the trick was finding a server CPU that had enough base clock. I think like 3 megahertz is the lowest it can go. That and then had enough cores and had enough PCIe lanes. And that really is the thing. Once you get above, maybe 16 cameras, there are not enough PCIe lanes in a i7, i9 CPU. I think you've got 24, maybe 28, maybe 26, something like that lanes, and you need a lot more than that. The Obsidian, the Obtanium, those names are too similar for me. The Obtanium, I think, will allow 44 lanes, PCIe lanes. We can look it up real quick. Let's look it up real quick. And it is an Intel W5 2565X. And we will pull that up in the Intel. Yeah, 18 cores. None of those E cores. So it's 36 threads. And, 300 watts, plus or minus. 64 PCIe lanes. So there you go. That's what we needed, 64 PCIe lanes, and then it requires server RAM and a server cooler, and what else is interesting about it? This particular, the motherboard that the vMix guys picked out is a Gigabyte MW83 Pro, RPO. And this is all on their website, so this is not proprietary information at all. But that is almost a basic server motherboard. You can't even overclock it, even though the chip, the CPU, the W5 2565X, X means it's overclockable. So there may be an option. I'll look as time goes on and see if there's an option that's a non-X CPU that maybe, save a few bucks here or there for everybody. So we will continue to look at the vMix specs and maybe exceed them in some cases, or downgrade them if they're higher than what they need to be. Okay, well that's it so far. What do we got, Nick? Nick, I'm about 2 weeks away from making that call. Okay, well, good. I'm about 2 weeks from declining that call. No, just teasing. Ed says it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, Ed, and I'm wearing my favorite shirt today. Sandy let me out of the house in this shirt, even though the collar is beginning to fray a little bit. You probably can't see that because this is not 4K, but it's my favorite shirt. And it just always makes me feel good to wear my favorite shirt. All right, so let's get this show on the road, shall we? And we're going to do the intro. So we'll be right back after the intro. Ta-da! I feel like I just want a ta-da at the end of that. Maybe I'll put that in for next time. All right, so welcome folks that are just showing up. Technic is here. Eric Tabor's here. Anderson is here. Eric Tabor is interesting that he's here because Eric Tabor has already built one or more of these vMix Obtanium reference system PCs. His is different than the one we're working with today. So let's swivel the camera around and we'll go over to the workbench over here, which is set up in the green screen part of the studio because that's where we have a workbench when we're not using the green screen. And I'm going to move my whole vMix setup over there. But first, let's move the camera. So we'll do that first, and then we'll do all this other stuff. So camera move on the way. Okay. Now, let's move our body to the other side. Keyboard and mouse. And we'll move the light. There we go. All right. Now, let's make this thing go full screen. Good, 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 good. Now, you need to see, oops, I lost my Post-it note. You need to see the desk. So this is the desk. Let's get that lower third out of there. And this is the motherboard. And this is the Gigabyte MW83-RPO. And it is a server. This is a server motherboard for sure. We've got, this is the inputs and outputs on the back. It's got, is it 2 or 3 10 gig network jacks, 8 RAM slots, 2 powers there and a power there, and then a bunch of other stuff that's, server oriented and not necessarily, live streaming, gaming PC oriented. But the feature is, look at all of those PCIe slots. Now, there was something I was going to show you just a second ago, and I didn't. Yeah, I didn't get it ready. vMix has got a graphic that shows these and shows that using this, and I'll clean this little rascal off with some alcohol in just a second. But using this W5 2565X CPU, it actually restricts this motherboard in that these 3 PCIe lanes are not usable. They're disabled. But these 3 are okay, and this one is okay. And in some ways it doesn't even matter, because, let me grab across here. This is our video card, and that is going to sit right there, and it's going to cover up those 3 lanes anyway, those 3 slots rather. So I think we're good there. The tricky part of this has been the CPU, because it doesn't just, last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago now, let me pull this thing out of the way here. There we go. And there are all our little pins. And I had just taken this guy and just set it down there, you know, with the little triangle pointing to the triangle on the motherboard, and thought everything was good. But no, that's not how this works. This CPU rides in this carrier. And the carrier then attaches to the cooler. And then the whole shooting match attaches to the motherboard. So that's the big step. Now, I have several other carriers, including one that I got with this chip that's the wrong carrier. And I finally opened another chip, because I have 2 of them, and it has a different carrier in it. So we'll have to worry about that other carrier later. But what we're going to do is and again, we'll clean this guy off in just a second. Here's our little triangle right here. And this guy has, let me do the zoom thing. Let's do this. There we go. There we go. Okay. So maybe you can see now. There's the triangle right there. See that little triangle? And this guy has a triangle of its own. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, there it is. It's that cutout right there. See that cutout right there is a triangle. So that triangle and this triangle need to meet up. So they would meet up by me flipping this guy over and setting him in. You may have to go in from the other side. Let's see. So he would go like this. Here's the triangle. Whoops. Here's the triangle right here where my thumb is. There's the other triangle right there. So we're going to mate those 2 together and just sort of slip it in. There's some tabs on the side that have to hook over the CPU. And so we've got tab, 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 tab. And now this thing is hooked in. And it's not particularly secure. I mean, it kind of rattles around in there, but that's it. So let's take a second and clean it with some alcohol so that we can get it installed. There we go. Got some alcohol pads here, and I've already washed my hands, so they're pretty clean. I tried to find some gloves, but figured clean hands and alcohol wipes, you can't beat those. So we're just going to take this little guy and just get off any oils that we might have put on there. The nice thing about alcohol is that it dries really quickly and doesn't leave any residue. Okay, so we got that side. I don't know if you can see it drying up, but it is completely dry. All right, so let's get the other side out. And last time I did this, I had your comments up where I could see them. And I don't this time. Let's see, is that going to, oh boy. I'm a little concerned that that might just pop right out of the rack. So let's just gently clean it like this. And then we'll gently blow it dry like that. Okay. All right, so I think we're good to go there. Now this part right here, this is the, I guess you would call it the head for the liquid CPU cooler, the water cooler. And it's already got, see all those little dots on there, those little squares? That is the fluid that the thermal paste. It's already pasted. So let's get that out of the way for just a second. And we're going to set this guy. Now, how do we know where the triangle is going to be? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break the rules. And I'm going to put this guy on here before I put the cooler on. I saw somebody do that in a video, and that appealed to my sense of order a little bit more. So we're going to take this guy, we're going to find the triangle on here. Oh, there it is right there. And we're going to find the triangle on here, which is right there. We're going to take this guy and we're just going to lower him down into the slots. There he goes. And he is seated nicely in the motherboard frame. Cool. This is not we're not in Kansas anymore, folks. Okay. So I know this is going to be the back of the, oh, sorry, let me zoom out where you can see. This is going to be the back of the PC right here. So this is going to be the front of the case up here. And I want my cooler, see this big radiator jobby. By the way, that black thing right there, that's the pump. I want my cooler to sit here, and I want my plate, the cooler plate, to sit right here like this. I guess I could have it like this, but those don't bend that way. Yeah, I think I like the extra reach. And these will swivel. I'm going to have them swivel to the inside for the moment. We're just going to set this on here. There we go. And then we've got these kind of little screw thingies here. And we've got some clips down here. So we want to open our clips. There we go. And open our clips over here. There we go. And then we want to engage our screws, and then we'll close our clips. So I think I have a Torx bit that will fit these guys. Can't really, well, that's screwing down just by hand. There we go. Let's go back to the zoom, see if we can do that. There we go. So I'm just going to screw these down by hand. I mean, this is serious looking stuff. This is not your brother's gaming PC. All right, so I'm going to clip that, clip that, clip that, clip that, and then I'm going to be able to take this guy and put him in my screwdriver. And you would have thought with something like this you would get some torque settings, but I didn't. So I'm just going to kind of run it down a little bit on each corner. I mean, Bill, wouldn't you think that having torque on something like this would be important? We're kind of using a crossover pattern like you would with a 4-bolt main or something like that in a car, or a 4-lug wheel. We just bring them all down kind of gradually. Sometimes I know in the automotive industry, when you're torquing things, they'll have you torque it to a certain spec and then torque it again a little harder to a deeper spec, and then torque it even harder to a different spec. So we're just going to keep torquing this guy down here, and it's got some spring in it, so at some point we'll know that it's where it needs to be. That's about it right there. Yep, that's about it right there. And there. And there. Keep hearing these things click. All right, that one's clicked, that one's clicked, that one's clicked, that one's clicked. So we're all set. We are done right there. We are done right there. Okay. So that's what we've got set so far. Now this connector right here, oh, you can't really see it. Let me move it up out of the way a little bit. This connector right here is actually for the pump, because remember the pump is built into the radiator. And then we also have 4 fans. Let's go back out a little bit. I guess we are out. Sorry about that. 4 fans that will mount to the radiator, and then the radiator will mount to the front of the PC. So I guess the next step is to go ahead and mount those fans. So let's slide this guy over a little bit. And we want the fans. Let's check our instructions for the fan. By the way, if you're doing a server install of any kind or build of any kind, don't expect thorough directions. They're expecting that you've done this 100 times already. So we're looking at the here's the fan diagram. There's the fan diagram right there. Now it doesn't say which way the wind is blowing. You have to know fans, and you have to know if you're looking at a fan and you're seeing the blades that are turned up like this as opposed to scooped like that, that this is the side that's doing the scooping, this is the side that's doing the blowing. And in the diagram right here, it shows us that the scooping fans are on the back. So scooping fans are on the back. That means this guy's going to be on the back. And we're going to have his little power wire. We're going to have his little power wire kind of come out right like that. In fact, let's go ahead and just put this guy in the center for the moment. So we'll use our little long fan screws, and we'll go through there, and we'll just get it started by hand. One of my Christmas presents was an impact wrench, and I love it, a driver, but I can't use that here. It would twist these rascals off. All right, so we got one almost all the way in, and we've got power wire coming off the bottom of it. Now we do have around here somewhere, oh, here it is. We've got our kind of our extension cord. So this is going to plug into the motherboard right here, and then fan 1, fan 2, and fan 3. So that's nice to be able to have an extension like that. And they're about the equal distance between 1, 2, and 3. So we're good no matter how we do that. So we'll set that aside for just a second. And let's go ahead and get another fan in. We're going to orient his cable to the same side. And let's make sure it runs down out of the way. Yep, there we go. And we'll get him screwed in. Bill, this has everything I love about mechanical stuff, like cars, but with none of the heat and none of the grease, the oil. And I don't have to crawl under it. And it doesn't drip on me. I'm not trying to talk you into a new career, though. All right, let's see if we can't get a little screwdriver help here. Get our Torx bit out of the way. This is a little power driver that is a lot of fun to use. There we go. And with a magnetic end, it makes him really handy too. Here we go. Let's just snug them up for the moment, and we'll go through and do a complete tightening before we finish with this guy. The trick is not to forget to come back and tighten these. All right, and now we've got one more fan. This side towards the inside, because it's going to blow this way. And if we didn't know that for sure, is there a legend on the fan? No, there's no legend on the fan. How about that? You're just expected to know. It's not for dummies. Okay, we're going to put this guy on the same side cable-wise with that guy so that they don't have to reach as far. And we'll get our next few in. Isn't this exciting? This is about as exciting as it gets. Until we get to the other station where we fire this guy up for the first time and get him into the operating system. So I want to try to be able to do that today, because that'll be fun. Or get him into BIOS. I don't know that we're going to get an operating system installed today. All right, now let's pull a trusty screwdriver over here and come back and just make sure these guys are the right tightness that we want. Give them all a little quarter turn, because we don't want these things coming loose ever again. You know, it's funny when you put something together, you don't know if you're putting it, or at least I don't know if I'm putting it together for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to have to take it apart later to rearrange something, or whether I'm putting it together for the next 10 years. So I always assume it's 10 years. Okay, this guy's ready to go. We'll get this, yeah, let's go ahead and hook this up. We'll leave the zip ties on those for now. So that's one. That's two. And that's three. And somewhere on this motherboard is a header for a CPU fan. Let's see if we can't find that real quickly here. Is it marked? That says system fan. Okay. That says CPU 0 fan. I think that's what we want right there. Now what we'll have to check, system fan, system fan, system fan, system fan, system fan. Okay. So the only thing that's marked anything kind of CPU is this CPU fan. And I think the pump, which we, we accidentally plugged into the pump. Let's don't do that. That doesn't make sense. That guy's missing right there. There we go. Everybody's at home saying, Tom, you skipped one. And you're right, I did. Okay. And the CPU fan is kind of interesting because they've given us this, this fan to Molex power connector. So we may want to go ahead and plug it into Molex. That means the fan will be running pretty much 24/7 at full speed, because this won't be controlled by the CPU, I don't think. Although we can check when we get into the BIOS to see. Let's see if there's anything that we've forgotten in the directions on the cooler, because cooling is kind of important. Yep, looks like they've got the the pump coming out to AIO pump, which we don't have, or to the power supply Molex connector, which we do have. And then they've got the fans going out to the CPU fan. So we will plug this in a minute. It's kind of far away for right now. And we may actually have to put an extension cord on it before we go too far. So let's get some RAM into the picture. We've got this RAM, and if you have poor vision, you'll have to get glasses like me to see what this is. WS Workstation DDR5 RDIMM from Corsair. These are the ones that vMix recommends. And they note in the vMix knowledge base that only these two and these two RAM slots are active when using that CPU. So, word to the wise there. And we'll go ahead and slip these guys in. You remember on our first attempted video of this, I pulled the RAM out and went to put it in and it didn't fit. Let's get that out of the way for the moment. So we're going to check the slotting. Yeah, it's going to go back that way. So we'll slide it in the slot. Down on the right, down on the left. It clicked, we're good. And the rest of them will go in the same way. It's not rocket science unless you can't follow directions. Then it's rocket science. All right, got those guys in. Are these guys going to go the same direction? Looks like they are. Let's do that one first. Isn't this exciting? I mean, you just can't wait for the next move. All right, so we got CPU, we've got cooling, we've got RAM, we've got the GPU, this big hauncher, and we are going to take this over to the other station and get it hooked up to power, because we have a 1,000-watt power supply over there, I think. If not, sorry about that. If not, we'll hook one up. So we're good here. We're good here. We're going to come back and get that with us. And let's go back. Let's go back around the corner. And while that camera resets itself, we'll very carefully take our motherboard and our cooler radiator back here and get those set up. And see if we can't get some more light back there. There we go. And camera and GPU. We'll bring our keyboard for our setup. And let's just put this guy out of the way over here for a sec. And we'll get these out of the way for a sec. And what I want to do, let's see, can I do this? Let's bring this back over where we can reach it. There we go. That's it right there. Lovely, lovely. And we'll get the chair out of the way. And let's zoom that camera in a little bit. Can we do that? There we go. All right. And I'll do my, whoops, hit the home button by accident. Let's try again. Whoops. Sorry about this. You'd think an expert like me would be able to do better than that. Let's get some light on the subject too, right here. Does that help any? Yeah. Okay. So we want to reorient this so that we can put the GPU in it. See if we can do it like that. Nope. Okay, let's get these guys over there. And this guy right like that. And then GPU is going to go in like this. There we are, right there at the edge of the table. And then we're going to find our power cables here. And that's going to plug in. Oh, that's the problem. We caught this other guy over here. And so we couldn't move. All right. So that's going to go up here. So we've got power for the fans. And now we need a power supply. So let's grab a power supply. vMix has suggested the Seasonic Vertex GX1000 power supply, fully modular, hybrid fan control, 80 plus gold rating. So that's, I guess that's the best. Although these days you never know. It could be that titanium is higher or obsidian. One of the things I love about power supplies is that they come with lots of piece parts. So we get to do an unboxing here. And we're going to put aside our documentation. We're going to put aside our zip ties and our whatever those things are, and the screws that'll screw that into the case. We're going to put aside our power cord. We've got some sort of funky connector here. We'll put that aside until we know what it is. We have padding, and we have a handy little ditty bag with a power supply in it. So let's pull this out. So once you're through using this for the power supply, you've got a ditty bag left over for all your ditties. Okay, here are the hybrid. By hybrid, they mean that basically the fan has two speeds, low and high. I always use high. It's off, or that's on, so we're going to put it back in the off position. And we're going to set that rascal, I'm going to sit him over here for the moment. And then the last bag, the last ditty bag, your power supply, is going to include 1,001 cables. 2 bags of cables. And guessing, we're probably going to need one from this bag and a bunch from this bag. So let's go to the one bag first. And what we're looking for is a simple Molex connector. Yeah, I see one right there. And that's going to be for our CPU cooler pump. And we'll keep those handy for when we need them. And we only need one of these, but that's okay. And we're going to plug in to the power supply. Let's just pick that one right there. That'll be good. This is a nice thing about a modular power supply is it doesn't already have the cables on it. So that means you only use the cables you need. So we are going to plug in here. There we go. So now we've got power for the pump, and we need power for the motherboard so that we can get our CPU cooler fans to run, and we need power for the GPU, and we've got all sorts of cables. Okay, so we've got a cable here that says PSU and CPU, so we know we've got two of those that we need. One is here and one is back there, so we'll get the hard to reach one first. Now we're building it outside of the case. This is pretty much our standard procedure to build it outside of the case. That way we get to find where everything is, we get comfortable with it. And so when it comes time to reassemble it inside the case, we're already familiar with the idiosyncrasies of it. CPU is going to be here. Let's take that one right there. And there should be another one in here marked CPU. There is. A lot of the gaming PCs will have an 8-channel power supply or power receptacle on the motherboard, and then a little 4-pin next to it. And the idea is that if you're overclocking, you need the 4-pin for the extra juice, but if you're not overclocking, then you're okay without it. All right, so we got lots more cables so far. That's those two. And then we have one more for the motherboard. And that's going to be this big connector here. Oh, we went out of focus. How did that happen? There we go. Now we're back in focus. So we're going to go into the motherboard here. Boy, what a mess of cables. There's actually an old VGA port here on the back that we'll need to disable in the BIOS when we get that far. And then more power here. Yep, and a click. And the other part of it here, and a click. And then we want the one for the GPU. So is this GPU power here? What does it say? Yes. It's got a special 600-watt GPU connector. So we're going to go straight in. I think that one's going to work like that. Is that working? 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. Yeah, that should work. Let's try it with a little bit more commitment. There we go. And this is sort of a proprietary connector that will plug directly into the GPU. And there's a proprietary on the other end to plug here. And that keeps us from having to use 3 GPU power cables. And the converter. The fewer cables we use, the better. Okay, so that's a GPU power cable. That's a GPU power cable. And that's a GPU power cable that we don't need right now, but we'll keep on hand and we'll send to the client in case they need it for some reason. And this is the connector that came with the GPU itself. So it has the 8-pin, 3 sets of 8 pins, and then the proprietary one, proprietary one on the end. And we'll include that with cables again. just in case. All right, so we need power. We have power. It's getting a little crowded over here now all of a sudden. Yep, and we'll turn that on. We got lights here. Got some other lights over there. And now we need a video cable. So we'll plug in there. And we need a motherboard and mouse. And just because it's handy, I'll use this, this little dock, which gives me 3 thumb drives that have lots of stuff on them that I want to put on this PC ultimately, and then a wireless dongle for the mouse keyboard. I haven't put in yet a SSD. At least I don't think I have. Let me check and see if I did. Got some SSD mounts here. Maybe I already put those in last time. If so, that's good. Not one there. We'll leave that off. Come on, a little further. There we go. Not one there. Okay, so no solid state drive. So that means that we won't be able to boot to anything or install Windows until we put that in. But we can go to RAM. I mean, we can go to BIOS. So let's get that on. Swing that around a little bit. And we need to be able to turn this guy on and see which pin we're going to do that with. And I'm going to guess that it's these. No, I'm not going to guess. All right, is everything on? Let's try it. Try those 2 pins right there. Well, it's not any of those. So we might have to look in the manual to see where the right header is for that. Well, let's go get the book. We did turn the power supply on, all right. Start out with the simple stuff first. Yes, power supply is on. Yeah, we know it's on because we saw the lights come on the motherboard. So we need the motherboard documentation to see if there's a layout there that shows us where the front panel pins are so that we can jump the pins for the on-off switch. And this is the entire documentation for the motherboard. They just assume you know. So we are looking for fan connectors, battery socket, slimline connectors, front panel header, number 23, FP1. 23 FP1. Well, there it is. That was the one we just had, I think. 23 FP1. Sure. Front panel header. Oh, it shows me the specifics of it, and we want the power button. So we want 11 and 13. 1, 2, 23, 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. $11 and $13. So they're going to be next to each other. So 23, 21, 19, 17, 15, 13, and 11. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up from the empty slot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that could be these two or these two. Oh, there we go. Lights, camera, action. A lot of noise, a lot of fan noise. And we got some lights blinking here. What else is going on around here? The fans on the GPU are spinning. The fans on the cooler are spinning. The fan on the power supply is not spinning. Maybe it doesn't need to. Did that do anything? Yeah, there we go. Now it's spinning. That's that little hybrid part we talked about. And if it's like any other system, when you first start it up, it's training the RAM. So now it's turning itself off, turned itself back on again. That's nice. So maybe it's done training the RAM. Let's see. Still got a little flasher here. Not sure yet what that means. And again, no other debug lights. I could have connected a speaker to it. Because sometimes, in fact, with troubleshooting, it's nice to have, see if I've got one on hand here. Yeah, there we go. It's nice to have a little guy like that. That plugs in and has, you remember the old computers, they used to make a beep. And we have stuff on the screen. All right, things are happening. Mapping tables, press escape in 1 second to skip startup.nsh or any other key to continue. Well, let's press any other key. And that may be the wrong keyboard. Let's try this keyboard. This is the one that we're using right here. All right, escape. Nope. Well, we're in the shell for what it's worth. Can we, let's see, is there a help feature to that? Oh yeah, there we go. Help/page/p. Nope. Well, what if we just do help? Ooh. Didn't like that, whatever it was. And no, can we do it? Let's see if we can do it again. And we'll see if we can do a pause. Where is the pause button? Here it is right there. Nope, that didn't work. Touch time type unload version volume. Well, I'm sure there's a helper that's trying to tell us right there what to do next. But let's see if you guys in chat have said something that's going to be helpful. Let's see. All right. So we want to see what we would do next. Let's look. I think that guy's trying to tell me. So we are up and running. We are just in a shell. Can we say exit? Is that a good command? Exit? Yeah, there we go. Now we're in BIOS. Yeah, okay. And let's take that off so that we can see a little better. And I'll see if I can zoom you guys in. on that a little. Okay. So that's our BIOS, version F10. And that was built in 2023, so we need to update the BIOS. Processor core 18, good. Memory 65, okay. So we're there. We did it. Let's see, what do we got here? We got advanced. Okay, we got chipset. We got server management. We got security. We've got boot. We got save and exit. Okay. Well, it's showing us our, let's see, can we go down to those here? Yeah. It's showing us our 3 thumb drives, but you can't boot from those. So we will discard changes and exit. And we're just going to turn this guy off. There we go. And then, how are we doing on time? We're out of time. We're out of time. Oh, man. I hate being out of time. Well, we'll have to pick this back up next time. Whoops, wrong way. But there we go. So maybe next time, or we may have already done it by next time, but we're going to put in 2 solid state drives, and we're going to install Windows 11 on the smaller of those 2. And then we're going to install, we'll probably update the BIOS, and then we'll install all the drivers. And we'll probably have to kind of search a little bit for drivers. We'll see what the Gigabyte website gives us so far as drivers is concerned. That's where we would start, because the drivers are kind of a motherboard kind of thing. And then, of course, we want to install the driver for the RTX 4080 Super, the graphics card. And I don't think we need drivers for the cooler, but I'll check and make sure there's not some sort of control that we need to adjust on that. And the other thing is the vMix website, where they have the reference systems, the Obtanium, I have to think about it for a second, the Obtanium reference systems, they do have in their knowledge base, in the reference system has a link to the knowledge base, a good article there that talks about the things that they've discovered that you need to do. And there's sort of a checklist there. So we'll go through that checklist too. Yep. How are we doing on time? We're good on time. Well, I tell you what, if you guys want to hang around, I'm going to go ahead and install the drives, and read up on that article before we do anything else. But let me go get the drives. They're just right around the corner. And we've turned off the power to the unit, so we're okay there. And do we have drives over here? No, we may have not have taken them out of their box. So let's grab those. And yeah, there we go. Well, maybe we did take them out of their box because the boxes are empty. So what might we have done with them? Well, we'll look. We'll look. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We're looking for drives. And we've probably put them someplace safe. But it has been a couple of weeks since we unboxed the drives. There are the boxes. And we had a 2 terabyte and a 1 terabyte. So there's the boxes. So we have the evidence. We have the evidence. And did we accidentally put those in somebody else's machine? Don't think so. Nope, it's not there. Well, maybe we'll fold out this show and go find the drives. Oh, here are the drives. We did install them before. They were right here the whole time. There's the drive. It was installed. So should be a piece of cake to put them back in. The key is don't ever give up hope. All right, so the power is off. And we are going to get this little guy. As I recall, the drive just goes in and then the heatsink installs on top of it. Let's get some light on the subject here. There we go. That's better. That's not great, but it's better. That's one. And we will go ahead and get the heat sink put in. We've already taken the shiny tape off the back of the heat sink, and it just goes in right there on top. There we go. Let's get some of these keyboards out of the way, and we'll get some light on the subject. All right, that guy's going to go right there. Let's put it on the easy one first. There we go. Good. And then that one goes in there. Good. And then the screw goes in there. Got it. So I outsmarted myself by taking the drives out. What's smarter than an idiot? Another idiot having a better day. Okay, got that in. Yep, looking good. Got a screw. And we'll drop that in. Pick it up first. There we go. Screw is in. Screwdriver. Nope. Actually, the screwdriver's got a little bit of magnetic in it. Will it hold that screw? It will. There we go. Okay, so we got number one in. We got our drives. Now number two, we want to look at the vMix website and get the reference systems. So let's do a desktop capture, and we'll bring in that page, and that's the vMix reference system for the Obtanium build. And it says building an Obtanium system can be complex. Please see a knowledge base article. And then here is the knowledge base article. And down here, remember we talked about the excuse me, goodness gracious. Talked about the slots we couldn't use and the RAM slots that we could use. And then here is our special notes section. Okay, the BIOS version to be updated to R07 or higher. PCIe slots 7, 3, 2, and 1 to be set in X16 mode. Resizable bar to be enabled. Let's see. Disable the VGA device adapter. Oh, in device manager. Okay. So let's see if we can get some updated BIOS for this machine. So let's let's get a keyboard and see if we can go to the gigabyte. And this is a MW, there it is, 83. Motherboard workstation, yep. Good. Service support. Oh, let's go back. Hopefully it'll be simpler than that. Yeah, here we go, support. Drivers, BIOS, utilities, firmware. Let's go to the BIOS first. Okay, they said R07, that's this one. R08 is actually newer, so let's take that. Okay, we're not using any beta products. So let's go to drivers. And let's do Windows 11, which are probably mostly the same. So we'll take this audio driver. We'll take this chipset driver. We'll take this Intel Management Engine driver. We'll take this LAN driver. We're not going to do SATA RAID, but we'll take it anyway in case our client ends up using that. We'll do the serial I/O driver. We probably won't need this VGA driver, but again, let's just take it. Okay. What about utility-wise? We'll come back to those if we need them. What about firmware? This is from February 25. BMC firmware with embedded management console. We'll come back and get those if we decide we need them. Oh, is there a for real manual? How about that? Here's the Easy BIOS Refresh manual. We'll download that one. And actually, it's going to bring it up to the screen. And it only has one page, and that page is blank. Oh, no. Wait, there's more. All right, there's more than one page. All right, we'll keep that handy. And we'll go back to this page. And then there's a user manual. May as well download that. And we'll put it on the hard drive for the client. And a support list. What is QVL? Intel. Okay, that tells us the processors that are supported by this motherboard. 2565, there we go, right there. With a 3.2 gigahertz base speed and a 4.8 gigahertz turbo speed. So good. So this is going to be a good little CPU. All right. Well, I think we've got everything we need here. Let's get a new thumb drive out. And we'll download those BIOSes and other files to this new thumb drive, label it, and then put it in our system. We can only do the BIOS at this level. Obviously, we can't do the drivers until there's a Windows to put it on. So let's see here. We've got downloads. Those are those. Oh, there's Rich is different. Don't play that now. Cancel. There we go. All right, we just want to get rid of that one. Sorry, Rich. And that one. We don't need all of those. We've got a download that's still trying to go. It's a pretty hefty one, so let's go ahead and unzip these first. That way we can just put the unzipped versions on our drive. Where you're getting everything today. You're getting the minutia. All right, and that's the VGA driver. Those VGA drivers sometimes are trouble. Okay, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like we're missing a few. This one is the driver Intel LA, which is that one right there. So maybe we're just behind the times. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that one again. We'll do it all new. We shouldn't have dumped so many on top of each other, it looks like. Server driver Intel LAN. That's what we're doing right now. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, this is going to be tedious. This is going to be tedious. So we will continue this next week. How about that? And next week we'll show you what we got and anything else we haven't done by then. So thanks for watching, and we will see you on the flip side.